Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the CMSnetwork.com, as well as the CMS Network Rumble page. We are at those locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube and have not done so already, please do not forget to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. Without further ado, my travel buddy, we had the best of times in Times Square and at Radio City Music Hall. He is, of course, the mighty Brian Hendrickson. Dude, what is up? It feels like we haven't done anything Dream Theater in a month because of the show, but yet we have done something Dream Theater very recently.
We have, man, a 4-day excursion of all things. Well, I don't know if all 4 days were all things Dream Theater, but basically the entire last night was and day was devoted to kind of meeting a ton of people and seeing an iconic venue and seeing, I don't know, probably one of the most unforgettable concerts that anyone could possibly ever attend in a lifetime.
You sound very excited. Like your energy's high. You're
It
very
is.
riled up. Like, I mean, do you need a nap or something? Like, do you need like a shot of?
You know what it
adrenaline or
is, man?
something?
I'm still like sitting here. I don't know what happened to your hair. I don't know what to say. It's got me in shock, man. It's
gone.
It's gone.
Dude. It's gone. Yeah, the hair is gone, y'all.
So
I chopped it off,
what prompted this? Was it the wife? Did your wife get threatened or?
Yeah. No, and we'll get back to Dream Theater here in a second because we have a very special guest we're bringing on, but two actually. But yeah, I'd been thinking about it for a month and a half, 2 months, and I just was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And we were in New York City, and it was, I mean, it's nice to just be able to wash your hair, go to work, let it air dry, whatever, no product,
Yeah,
won't mess with it. But then last weekend we had a gig with Brother Believe Me. And I was looking in the mirror afterwards. The place had like horrible ventilation, and I was just sweating like a whore in church. And I on set break, I went to take a piss, and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's exactly what I'm going for. It's sweaty rocker hair. It looked awesome. So the next day, my wife was showing me pictures that she had taken of the show, and there's pictures from the side of the stage, me from the side, and it looked flat and dull and boring. And I went, you know what? It's just going to get worse as it gets longer. So the very next morning, on Monday morning, I made the appointment, and that after work that day, I chopped it off. So I was like,
I was cracking up at that big comb you had. Like, I wanted you to like have that sticking out of your back like left like jeans pocket, like 1970s style.
It was a little comb. Let's not go overboard. It was a little comb. But
the funny thing is, like, I literally don't know anyone who's even used a comb in like 30 years because all my friends have short hair, and I haven't used one probably, God, since my hair was long. So we're talking like 97. So
yes, the Doug McCauley, great to see him. And he says, "You bailed on the hair." Yeah, yes, I did. And the comb, dude, it gets knotted. Like, so it just annoyed the hell out of me. So finally I carried a little bitty comb in my pocket. I just sick of my hair getting knotted. But outside of the hair, dude, what an unbelievable trip. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I've come down even yet from that trip, because that show was so much more than I could have expected. And our trip as well was just an absolute blast. Like, it was like the perfect amount of time. We did just enough touristy stuff, just enough food stuff. We had some relaxation time. And again, the show was was scheduled to be the cherry on the top of our Sunday for that trip, and it was way more than I could have ever expected. I mean, for me, that show kind of like kicked my fandom back 15 years. Like, it refreshed me on Dream Theater. And not that I was out on Dream Theater in any way, so I'm not saying that. I'm 100% in all the time. But that show felt like it did like 15, 20 years ago. There was just something about it, that energy. And man, for like days and days afterwards, like more than a week, I was like, shit, man, I miss New York. I miss that show. Yeah. I mean, Giovanni Palaia, who we met. Giovanni, great to meet you in person, bro. Giovanni Palaia says, I'm still high from that show. Like, yeah. I mean, dude, how did you feel coming back home? Because that was crazy, man.
Yeah, I full disclosure, man, I'm still dragging from that whole experience. I mean, because, well, you were smart. You took a day off, at least one day off work, didn't you? You took off Monday.
Yeah, we flew home Sunday afternoon, and then I took all Monday off, which was the best thing I ever did.
So I worked all week, and then I had a 4.5 hour drive to a gig on Friday in West Virginia that was actually on Saturday, so we stayed overnight. So yeah, I'm still kind of recovering from all that, and it's not like we went nonstop partying or anything, but just like the depth and the gravity of, just I don't even know if I honestly, dude, I don't know if I recovered from our Thursday trip to the 9/11 memorial. I mean, that's still sort of bouncing around, because you kind of go from there and then you're like, oh well, let's go have a great fun time and do all this fun stuff, and you're like, I don't know. I'm not saying you feel guilty, but it definitely messes with your mind. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, I think it gives a certain appreciation to, the things that we did, because
for sure.
We I mean, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, guys, because we have to get to our first guest here. But, we started our trip. We flew into New York on Wednesday night, and we got in at like about 7:30 or something. We got actually to the hotel like 8:00, 8:30, and immediately went looking for pizza. And I told Brian, I was like, the one thing that I've found the couple times I've been in New York, is that don't just go for a place that says pizza. Look for something with a name on it. If it has a name, so we're walking around, we see this place, John's Pizzeria. I'm like, all right, we'll go there. And as sure as shit, the pizza was awesome. Yeah, exactly, right. So we got a kick-ass pizza. We had a few drinks and everything, and we went to the liquor store and brought some stuff back. And Wednesday night was just kind of a let's eat pizza and relax and watch TV. And the next morning we went to the 9/11 memorial at 10 a.m. and we did the audio tour with a guide. And then after that, we kind of wandered around ourselves, and we really rushed through the last part of it. We could have easily been there like for about 6 hours. Oh, because it's that poignant, and there's so much to see. And it was, I mean, so that started us out, and then we headed to Little Italy, and and the whole trip just went from there. So, but what we did do, Brian, let's get our first guest on here. What we did do, one of the awesome things that happened, was we went to the DT USA fan pre-show hangout at the Elgin, however it's pronounced, just a couple blocks from Radio City. And the DT USA did pre-show hangouts before all of the gigs on the US tour. I was at the one here in Cleveland. It's in a city called Northfield. And this one was absolutely packed. And it was a complete blast to be there, because just hanging out with other Dream Theater fans, and you could feel the excitement, and everyone's pumped up. And I mean, Brian, you and I, like, as stupid as it sounds, we got approached by a few people that knew us from the show, which was absolutely like the most humbling, flattering thing ever. We hung out with our amazing buddy Sean Faust. We met up with him that afternoon. Him and his buddy Gordon. I mean, it was just an incredible night. And what we want to do right now is bring on one of the guys, if not the guy, who helped set this thing up. It is, hopefully I'm not mispronouncing this, John Raaness, not from DT USA, but from DT Norway. So all the way from Norway, our buddy John Raaness hooked up a pre-show hangout in downtown New York City. John, what is going on?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. So, all right. So you got a lot of stuff you want to talk about, but first and foremost, before first and foremost, when we were recording our show, you ran into us while we were recording live. And I turned, I'm like, hey, what's up, buddy? Everything? Yeah. I couldn't really see who it was. I'm like, yeah, cool. Well, when I got home and I watched the video, I was like, oh shit, that was John.
Yeah, that was cool running into you guys on the street
Yeah.
after the gig. And I thought, what better opportunity than to photobomb your live stream?
That was beautiful. Excellent job on your part. So I mean, all right. So obviously you are with DT Norway. So you're in Norway currently, obviously. How in the hell did you manage to set up or help set up a hangout like that in the biggest city in America? How did you make this all happen with DT USA at the Elgin before the show at Radio City?
So a little bit of a backstory. I've been kind of involved with the fan club work since 1998. Me and a couple of guys, we set up the Norwegian fan club back in 1998. And I did my first interview with the band back then, March 1st, 1998, with James and Derek. And back then, it was all individual chapters, a few chapters around the world, mainly in Europe. There was a Japanese one, and there was an American one. And there was an international fan club, which at the time was based in the UK. And it was run by a guy called Neil Elliott. And after a few years, the guys that ran the fan club in the Netherlands took over Theatre of Dreams, and they ran it for a while. And then Kerry and her team and Voices UK in England took over. And it was, it kind of had, this feeling of just individual chapters all over the world. And then the guy that ran the fan club in Norway with me, Kim, came up with a concept of, why don't we consolidate everything? Why don't we make sort of an umbrella thing for everyone and create a worldwide community and include all the local chapters into this community and help spread, our common interest for Dream Theater, the news and everything, and create events like the meetups before shows. So Dream Theater World launched in 2016. And I've always been involved with the Norwegian chapter, DT Norway, but, connecting with other people all over the world and also traveling to a lot of gigs all over the world. I've always reached out to the local chapters and asked, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can help with? And that's how I've met up and gotten in contact with the person that runs Dream Theater USA. And her name is Victoria. You couldn't find a better name. Right. So I've been very privileged to hold a couple of meetups in New York City. In 2016, we met up at the Brickyard before the show and the Astonishing show in the Radio City, and then most recently a couple of weeks ago as well, where we had the party in the Elgin, where I met you guys as well. Our main objective with these meetups is obviously to get fans together. So for me, it's always important to try and find a suitable venue, restaurant, bar that's near the venue. That's the key thing, to find a place that's near the venue that obviously let us play Dream Theater over their sound system. If they have big screens that we can stream Dream Theater on, that's great. And we've had a lot of really successful events over the last 10, 15, 20 years. I think the first one we set up in Norway that I set up was probably back in 2000, with maybe, 80, 100 people. And there's been dozens of events since, and they're so much fun. And like you say, you meet fans from all over, you recognize a lot of familiar faces. I mean, Dream Theater fans is like one big family, because that common interest for Dream Theater and that genre. It's not just Dream Theater as such, but you discuss other bands and so on. So it's just an amazing opportunity for me to be privileged enough to hold these events, and it is so much fun.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it on the head. Like bringing everybody together as a family, and like meeting other fans and all this stuff. I think one of the best things about the Dream Theater fan base in a way is that they are kind of a niche band. So it's not like, like I go to Star Wars Celebration. It's like the only Lucasfilm licensed Star Wars convention, right? But there's like 100,000 people there. It's like everybody loves Star Wars. But with Dream Theater, it's a small community, which I think is kind of cool because it makes it a little more personal, So you have met how many different can you even name how many countries you've met people from? Because we've only been to shows here in the US, so you being all over the place, like how many countries have you met fans from?
I don't know. I want to say probably somewhere between 40 and 70 countries. We had a huge event before the gig in London. That was like, as soon as they dropped the date, I was like, right, we're gonna lock in the biggest event for Mike Portnoy's return. It's gonna be huge, and we found a really nice place in the O2 Arena, so literally in the same place as where the concert was.
Awesome.
And
okay.
we had, I don't know, somewhere around 120, 150 people drop by.
Wow.
And we have at these parties, we always try to do like a trivia, like some sort of competition where you can win prizes, but we also give away things, give away prizes to people that have, say, traveled a very far distance. And I kept a log in London over where people had traveled from. And there were people from Chile, Brazil, New Zealand, the Middle East, all over Asia, obviously all over Europe, lots of Americans, Canadians. And it was just incredible to see how many people had traveled so far to see their favorite band perform. And obviously it was a really, really special night, with the return of Mike Portnoy after being out from the band for so long. So yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. And we're fortunate to be, we have a really good relationship with the label, with Inside Out Music. So they provide us with prizes that we can give away at these events. And also every now and then, if we're fortunate enough, we can give away a few backstage passes if the band or their management allows that. Or we've even had band members come to our parties. A couple of times when we've had the event in Norway, depending on the venue, obviously, but we've had the fan events literally upstairs from where the dressing rooms are. So a couple of times we had I think it was John Petrucci, maybe Jordan, definitely JP, literally just get in the elevator and it came up and said hi.
That's
so
amazing.
It's so much fun. And again, you meet the same faces. Like I bumped into so many people that came to the London show that was here to the New York show. And yeah, it's just this incredible vibe. And everybody is just in such a happy, positive mood. And I must say as well, like every time I've arranged these meetups, the restaurants, bars, or venues that I've held them at, they always approach me after and say, what an incredible crowd, like what amazing fans, like we'll have you back anytime. And also I don't know if you guys met them, but at our meetup in New York, the guys from the label came from Inside Out Music, and obviously they represent a lot of different bands, and they were so impressed because they said, I never realized that this Dream Theater community it's so huge. Like it's so close. It's like a family, like I said. Like everybody gets together and are just having a good time, and everybody is like open to meeting new people. And you could meet people that heard Dream Theater for the first time yesterday, and then there would be people that became a fan when Dream and Day Unite was issued. And it's got that whole spectrum of people. A lot of people had never seen Portnoy perform with a band before. So like New York was their first time, or this tour was their first time. And you connect with all these people that have all their individual Dream Theater stories. A lot of them are musicians. Some of them are just, interested in music. And yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I think you totally nailed it. And Brian, jump in here if you have a question for John. But I think you absolutely nailed it. Like we talked about a family and people know each other, and it's like I think the positivity I think is exactly I think you absolutely nailed it on the head there because again I have to mention the Star Wars conventions because that's my other big thing. But that's exactly how the Star Wars conventions feel. It's like everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's there for the same reason. There's just nothing but we always joke about there's no politics. The only politics we care about are the taxation of intergalactic trade routes over the sovereign system of Naboo. We joke around about that, but everybody's in such a great mood. And I think the Dream Theater hangouts that you guys put on, it is exactly the same vibe, but it's with this small little community. Like, in New York, we had like 100, 120 people or something up there at the Elgin.
Yeah.
And in Northfield, it was, it was like
maybe
20,
more, I think.
yeah. I mean, it was packed. And Northfield, it was 20 people. But I sat down with people that I had met at a previous hangout. And they're like, oh, dude, what's up? And then my best friend and his brother-in-law came. And I mean, it's just like, you guys just do such a fantastic job of, representing what I think as fans, we think we are. We like to think that we're open-minded and we're, a community and all this stuff. And we're, friendly and we all love this prog metal shit. And, like you said, not just Dream Theater, but the genre. And I think you guys do such a great job of bringing people together with that. So, Brian, go ahead.
I'm more curious, kind of, to go back to the origin of this. So, John's a little bit younger than me, and I don't know about other John, how old you are, but there used to be two ways to really do a fan club, and it was like you bought the album or the CD, and it comes from the label. And the other thing was, if you remember, in the back of like Circus Magazine or Hit Parader, there's these basically kind of pen pal fan clubs that people would start, and join up with like that. So was the early days. How was it? Was like everything through the mail? Did you guys advertise in magazines? Did you have okay, you can join the club for $5 or free? Did you have patches, shirts, posters, like newsletters? How did that all work when it was first started?
So for me personally, my introduction to kind of what being a member of a band's fan club was when I signed up for the Queensryche fan club. Okay. Back in around 88.
Oh wow.
And it was ran by Michael Wilton's mom, who
nice.
who ran the fan club in her house in Seattle, and she sent out magazines and fanzines and these little newsletters printed out at home.
Right.
So that was kind of what I had in mind when I started, thinking around 97, 98, it would be cool if we could set up a Norwegian chapter. And it was kind of the start of the internet, message boards, and so on. So that's how we got the word out. It was basically just word of mouth. And we knew that we wanted to make a fanzine, a fan club magazine. And we also knew that the international fan club that was then ran out of the UK, they also had a Christmas sort of gift for their members, which was at the time was a fan club CD, which Mike Portnoy would contribute towards either by soundboard tapes or other things that hadn't been released. And they kind of used this platform as releasing sort of material that otherwise would never be released, which again kind of led towards the official bootlegs and then the Lost Not Forgotten series. So the very, very beginning of that was the fan club CDs, which was the first one was issued then in 1996. Now, because Dream Theater Norway started a few years after that, we weren't included on the first sort of batch of fan club CDs, but that was kind of what was included in sort of a membership then, which was $20, $25 a year. It would give you 2-3 fan club magazines and one of these annual CDs. And awesome. One of them, this one here, this is an example. This is one of them. And they're not for sale. You can't find these anymore. Every now and then you see them come up on eBay, and because they were very, very limited pressing. The very first one in '96 was only printed in 1,600 copies, and they were numbered by the guy who ran the fan club from 1 to 1,600 by pen, like a golden pen. So if you ever see them on eBay, it actually has his number written on it. So that's how we started out. We printed them, and I would make the fan club magazines, the fanzines, at home on my home printer. I would print them, cut them, staple them, fold them, send them out. And because we were all kind of also then kind of connecting with everybody, all the other fan clubs, and we started to get contacts in the label, we got the band members' postal addresses.
Oh, wow.
So we would send them our fanzines. We would send them, what we made, and they would always show great appreciation for it. We made, I think it was around 2009, 2010, might have been before. We made, instead of fan club magazines, we made like an annual calendar, so a Dream Theater calendar with great photos that we had taken the previous year. And I remember Mike Portnoy emailed me and he said, "Can you please send me a few more? I've already hung up the ones you sent me in my kids' bedrooms."
That's great.
It's like, and they've always been so good at appreciating the work we do, because, we do it for free. It's just because we do it for the love of the band. We do it for free, and we do it to be, to create this community that we're all a part of, this Dream Theater community, and creating a space, either online or like in local events and so on, for everybody to get together. And I think they've always been really, really good at showing their appreciation for that, either by making themselves available for interviews, giving us a few backstage passes every now and then, and kind of including us, by, being able to stay in contact with them directly. So, I mean, we're really privileged to have kind of like that direct contact with the band. It's not a lot of bands their size that are this like closely connected to their fan base.
Sure.
Totally agree. Hey,
do you keep go ahead, John.
I was going to say, we have a quick question here in the chat. So our good buddy Sean Faust, good to see you, brother. Awesome to see you in person in New York. He says, "John, I got a birthday card from the fan club in the 90s. Is that the band's real autograph, or is that just a print?"
If he has a photo, we can. It's quite easy to sort of verify it. We've actually gotten quite a few questions like that on our Facebook group. We have, if you look up Dream Theater World on Facebook, you'll find our dedicated sort of Dream Theater chat group. We have close to 200,000 members on it, including some of the band members. And those kind of questions do come up every now and then. Is this a legit autograph? Is it a copy? And we have, since we've been doing this for so long, we actually have a pretty extensive library of their autographs. So we can kind of look back and say, oh yeah, this would be probably Mike Portnoy around 2005. This would be kind of, and things like that. Or it could be like John Petrucci's autograph has been really consistent. And actually most of them have been. But yeah, so like if he has a photo of it, it should be fairly easy to verify. Because we have all the stuff that was sent out by the fan clubs, a great deal of it was actually genuinely signed by band members.
I wonder if this will show on the screen at all. No, it's not gonna. Oh, he sent it to me. This looks pretty. I don't know how this cannot be them signing it, because the birthday card is kind of like, it's very simple. I would think they signed this, man.
They probably did.
You know what, John? I'll have to email this to you, and we'll get an answer for Sean Faust. That way, he, But and no whatever you do, tell him it's their autographs. Don't burst this bubble.
Lie to him if you have to.
Yeah.
But yeah. So all right. So I have one last question about the hangout, and then we got to talk about the show itself and your trip and everything.
Yeah.
So these venues, like, did they charge you for using the space, or is it just, do they ask, do you have a minimum attendance thing? Like how does the actual finances of this work? Because that was my biggest thing, is like, how do they just, like the Elgin, for example, you're in downtown New York City. How do you get a bar like that in downtown New York City, right off Rockefeller Center, to just close their entire private area upstairs. Like, so what does that entail?
So, for the Elgin specifically, I approached them really, really early, like months in advance, because it's a Saturday night, it's New York City, and to book the place out, like they do advertise online that you can hire the space or like book the place for a couple of hours for the day. You can book the whole restaurant out if you want to. And for the Elgin, they had a minimum spend. So for them to let us use the space, it was a minimum spend of $1,500.
Well, John blew through that about 20 minutes after he got there.
And it was quite funny because
200 came from me. You're welcome.
I had initially, like, because I wanted to be sort of conservative in the amount of people that were coming. So I said to them initially that maybe around 40-ish people will show up. So when we were setting up before the event that day, the manager came over to me and said, so because by then it had completely taken off on our event on Facebook, so we could see that it's going to be close to 100 people. So he said, what do we do with the minimum spend? Is there going to be? And I said, don't worry about it. I don't think that's going to be any problem.
Right.
And then about halfway through,
it's New York for starters.
Like, yeah.
About halfway through, I went over to him and I was like, how are we doing with our minimum spend? He said, yeah, you met that a long time ago.
Right.
But it's like, it varies from venue to venue. Sometimes they want you to pay for like extra security if they need an extra person at the door. They want you to pay for, say, cleaning the area after. Some places will just let you use it for free. It depends. It really depends on the place.
I would not have skimped on security knowing that Talking Into Infinity was going to be there. You know, I would have definitely
hired a few extra guys.
Hired some big bouncers.
We were well, big bouncers only because of my girth, but
Right.
Yeah. But I'd like to mention that, you know, these events, we try to set up as many events as we can, and I've personally hosted events a couple of times in New York. I've hosted events obviously in Norway, in Dubai even. I've hosted one in Thailand. So wherever I travel, I try to connect with the local chapter and say, look, can we do something? Can we get people together, find a place close to the venue, and get as many as we can in there? And then, you know, try to kind of create sort of an atmosphere before you go into the actual concert. And it was so funny talking to you guys before the show, because I think you had some inside information that there was going to be a surprise in the set list.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea.
No such thing.
And I spoke to the guys from the label, and I kind of said to them, look, I hear that we might be in for a treat tonight. And they said the same thing. And they were like, oh, really? I don't have any idea what you're talking about. And I said, you have the worst poker face ever. But I said, don't tell me what it is. I want to be surprised. And yeah.
Yeah, we were told only that there was a surprise. And it was like, you know, we figured as long as people there like, hey man, like, especially people that traveled, like, you know, from halfway across the world, it's like, you know, like, and people that recognized us from the show, it's like, well, let's, you know, give them a teeny little bit of nugget, just make it cool for them, I guess, you know. And it was, you know, that was kind of fun, because like then people started guessing what I didn't know what it was. I mean, Brian and I had no idea, and so it was like, okay, like we just, you know, had the, you know, little birdie told us there's gonna be a surprise, and so
in hindsight, it's so Captain Obvious. I mean,
I know, right?
And you're like, what else could it be? You know, I mean, there would be nothing else. It has to be.
Yeah. All right.
It
So
was
John,
like I remember when you know, the second set of Score in 2006. You know, there was rumors that they were going to do something special, and then obviously they had the full orchestra. It was kind of like, I felt like that moment when they showed on the big screen, you know, in honor of Howard Portnoy. It was like that moment, and I still get goosebumps just talking about it. Yeah. And where they kind of, it's the perfect place. It's their hometown. If they ever going to do anything special, and especially with Mike Portnoy being back, this was the night to do it.
Yeah. No, totally. And dude, that is still like, the fact that they did that, it was kind of one of those, like, I always thought that like the huge, I guess you could say huge. The huge thing that I would see was, oh, they're playing Space Divest back in 2014. The song they said they'd never play. Well, I was very wrong, because seeing this in New York City was a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So,
it was coming full circle in so many ways, because when I was there in 2006, I sat a couple of rows behind Howard, and was kind of, able to see how he reacted seeing the band playing. And then, with the Octavarium Orchestra, Jonathan Dinklage played the violin. And then, skip forward to 2025, they got Jonathan back in, and they get to honor Howard the way they did by playing the Best of Times. And it was like coming full circle in so many ways. And a lot of people that were there, had also been there in 2006 and saw that whole thing happen as well.
Yep.
It was just magical. It was just perfect in every single way. Like you couldn't fault a thing with that night.
Yeah. Well, we do have another guest coming on here in a few minutes. So before we let you go, man, you have to give us your impressions of that show. Brian and I started out the show by, kind of, we didn't really get into it. We'll get there eventually. But that show for us was absolutely just legendary. It was so emotional. And even if they hadn't done the Best of Times, there was just an energy in that venue, at least for me, that was like something I've almost never experienced at a concert. So what were your impressions of that show?
It was flawless from start to finish. I mean, I love the dramatic opening, obviously that they're playing the Psycho intro tape, that they brought that back. It is so, I don't know, it's so classic Dream Theater to have that there. It's like,
I love that you mentioned that. Yeah.
15 minutes to Psycho. It just starts the perfect way. And then with the big dramatic, drop of the curtain straight into Metropolis, and then they just keep that going. It's like they start up here, and then they never drop. They just keep going and keep going and keep going straight into Regression, and it's like it's just one long 10 out of 10 experience. And I mean, even if you're not, except for the guy that sat in front of me, because everybody's standing, everybody's cheering, everybody's like, oh my God, this is amazing. There's one guy in front of me sitting scrolling through his TikToks. But when they come into the encore, he's like, finally he gets it. And he gets up and it's like, oh my God. He turns around and it's like, this is actually unbelievable. And it just, for the rest of the evening, there's tears, there's like every emotion possible. And it's just incredible. And I mean, that's how I felt from start to finish. And I was lucky I had a chance to talk to James' son during the intermission, Chance.
Yeah.
And he said, he couldn't be more proud of them, and he couldn't be more proud of James as well. Like that performance is just, I really couldn't fault it.
Can we just say, James kicked ass on the tour. He held something extra back for that New York show.
Yeah.
There was some extra nuts behind what he was doing that night. He was absolutely fantastic, I thought. It was awesome to see. And dude, and his stage presence, like as the years go by, gets better and better. Like in the early years, he didn't move a lot. He kind of did, but now he's like he's running around, whipping his hair. Like, I love it, man. He absolutely killed it. So
and I mean, how well like do the adaptations or the vocal lines work? Like you wouldn't totally even really notice, because they're still they work in every single way. Like you wouldn't notice that it's Dream Theater 2025, because they really, really work, and it brings sometimes like a whole new appreciation, because the songs are kind of updated, so to speak.
Yep. 100% agree, man. So, all right, John, we're going to cut you loose here. We've got another guest coming on here in a minute, but dude, It was amazing to meet you in person at the Elgin. Amazing to have you on the show. You are always welcome. Just hit us up. You've got our contact information. Anytime you want to come on and bullshit, you got something to promote, let us know. And dude, as always, carpe diem. Much love to you, man.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
To check us out on Dream Theater World on Facebook. That's your go-to point for any event, wherever you should go to see Dream Theater. And we're never far away. So thanks again for having me on, and we'll talk soon.
Anytime, man. Much appreciated. We'll see you soon. Well, there goes John, man. That was awesome. This is just like, dude, like meeting people in person like that is just like out of nowhere. Just is so cool. That's one of the best parts about the show. At Radio City, like the pre-show hangout. Like, I have to admit, I was like, man, I'm so hyped up for the show, but the pre-show hangout was so fucking cool that it was like, am I going to be let down by the gig? Like, and not by a long shot, man. It was, that event was just done so well. Dude, they even had John Petrucci's whiskey as one of the signature drinks.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I walked up and they had two signature drinks. I forget what the one was, but the other one was, they were both named after Dream Theater, but the one was literally like a knock of the Rock the Barrel, John Petrucci's whiskey. I was like, give me a double of that. Boom. So I'm out $30 off the rip.
Yeah.
So real quick, I got to bring up a comment here, Brian, in the chat. This is kind of badass. So dreamtheater.club. Obviously somebody from Dream Theater World. Welcome to the show. Great to see you. Says, I still have a bunch of old fan club CDs. Maybe we can do a giveaway with you guys. Yes, we can do that 1,000%.
Yeah, you can just give them to us. That's fine. Oh, that's not what he means.
I was so waiting for that, man. I was so waiting for that. Yeah, let's hook that up, man. We would love to do that. We did a giveaway a few years ago with some astonishing programs. We did that, shipped them worldwide. So yeah, if you have something you'd be willing to share with the fans, we would be more than happy to make that happen. That is an awesome offer. Hit us up either at our Facebook page, Talking Into Infinity, or email us at talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com. And let's go, man. We got a ton of people that check us out that would love to get a piece of that. That's very, very generous. Thank you.
It was funny about to go back to the hangout again, and the amount of people's like, I heard that voice, and I'm like, that's John, because you're a tad more boisterous than I am, putting it mildly.
Right.
So I don't know that my voice would stand out unless they heard you. And then I was like, in proximity, be like, oh, maybe that was Brian. But like you, like stand out right away, because I think I told you a story about being on the Monsters of Rock, and I was kind of stalking the Hotter Than Hell guys, and I was like, okay, it's unmistakable, the one guy, Steve Wright's voice. And what I don't know, 3 or 4 people were like, yeah, I heard that voice. And I'm like, that's the dude from Talking to. That's John.
Yeah.
Like, there's no disguising or hiding that, man.
I got that twice. It was you're the dude from Talking Into Infinity. I turned him like, what? Like, I recognize your voice. I've never tuned in live, but I know you. And that was,
yeah.
That is like the most flattering thing ever. Like, we've said it. You know what's awesome about this, Brian? And we'll get to our next guest here in a minute. But we've said it so many times on the show that we do the show, because we are fans, and we want to, you had this awesome idea to do a Dream Theater podcast, and maybe fans could hang out with us and, bullshit about Dream Theater and other bands related to Dream Theater and stuff like that. And, we've been doing this for around 4 years, 3 years, something like that. And, we get messages from people and emails, and it's cool. But at that hangout, like, we actually met people face to face. And, when Giovanni grabbed me, he's like, hey, John. I'm like, hey, what's up? He goes, I'm Giovanni Palai. I'm like, holy shit, my fucking fellow Dago. Like, like you were just talking about, this guy is like, oh, you're from Talking Into Infinity. I recognized your voice. I was like, what? And I had somebody else do that. And it was just awesome because, like, it's nice to know that people pay attention to what we're doing, not because they're paying attention to us, but because they're interacting with the Dream Theater fan base. I love that, because of your awesome idea, like, we apparently have a space where Dream Theater fans can come hang out, those that know about us anyway, can come hang out and just be around, like, people that love the band and music in general as much as they do. I mean, it's fucking great, dude. That was my biggest takeaway from the fan hangout. Like, I mean, we had heard that there was going to be that T-shirt that was released, and we're like, oh shit, we got to get in line. We got to get in line, and we were way late because we kept getting grabbed by people. Like, hey man, can I get a picture? Hey, let's drink a beer. And I'm not going to say no to any of that. So it's like I missed out on the shirt just because I was hanging out with the fucking best fans on the planet.
I bet we would have had to be in line a minimum of 90 minutes before they even opened those doors to get those shirts. The way how fast those things went, and then those lines when we got inside.
I have never been more happy to miss getting an exclusive shirt than I was that night. So,
there's that fake one that keeps popping up all over Facebook. You can get it.
Look at this. Hopefully I'm not like betraying confidences if I bring this comment up. So Dreamtheater.club says, I'm the guy in charge of DT World, the founder and a collaborator of John Raaness for 25 plus years. Hell yeah, dude. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for tuning into the show. Much appreciated there. Yeah, let us know what we can do to help out. And if we can get some like, awesome Dream Theater swag out to people that, watch the show or listen to the show, we'd love to, man. That's awesome. All right. So, John Raaness, by the way, real quick, before we get to our guest, says, thanks for having me, guys. Had a blast. John, you are the man. Again, you are always welcome. Just hit us up whenever you want to promote something, or if you just want to jump on, talk about a topic, just let us know, man. All right, Brian, let's get to our next guest. He needs no introduction on our show. For those of you guys who do not know who this is, his name is Wayne Joyner. And if you have been to a Dream Theater concert since 2019, I want to say 2019, you have seen his amazing work. If you have seen the Dream Theater videos, if you have seen John Petrucci's solo record videos, his work is in all of the albums from the last 3 releases. He is just an absolute master of graphics and design. He is the man, the myth, the legend, our good friend, Mr. Wayne Joyner. What is up, dude?
What's up, dudes? How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy?
Dude, first and foremost, chef's kiss to the t-shirt, man.
Oh,
Nice.
Love the Macho
Man.
Man t-shirt.
yeah.
Oh, my God. So, all right. So, first of all, thank you very much for coming on. It's always awesome to talk to you. We'll have you on, by the way, very soon. I got to get in touch with you. We're doing another Pantera episode soon, so obviously you're coming on for that.
Absolutely.
All right, so I think we're going to give the floor to you because where do you want to start? Because you did this tour. You worked directly with the band. Are we allowed to say who you worked with the most? Or should you say it out loud? Or I don't know what we can say or can't say.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much I just kind of took the ball and ran with it.
Okay.
So the guys
which band member, like, in fact, you know what? I'm just going to ask. So when this whole thing with Portnoy went down, you had to get in touch with Portnoy or vice versa. How did this whole thing start? I guess would be the first question. Like, let's start from the beginning.
for the tour or Best of Times?
Let's do the tour, and then we definitely want to hear about Best of Times because that is what everybody wants to hear about. So
Sure. No, it was business as usual. Usually it's me and JP and Mike did the tour this time. Before it was just me and John before, but Mike has so many awesome ideas, and it was an absolute pleasure getting to work with him. So he's just fantastic to work with.
So how much input did he have? Like, what was he kind of taking a back seat to John for a minute, like, or was he kind of like in the forefront right off the bat? Because I know with the music, at least, he had said, "I'm kind of like finding my place again." Like, was it like that with you, or is he kind of like, "Hey, I got these ideas, like, let's go"? Like, how was that?
No, he gave me the keys to create, and I would deliver the visuals to him and John, and they'd give me a thumbs up, or hey, we need to add some stuff here or there, but pretty much for the most part, man, they let me art direct the whole entire thing.
Is that like hitting the lottery when they tell you, okay, the whole new album's about nightmares and stuff? Like, this is gonna. I mean, is that like, okay, this? I mean, there's so many cool things you can go. I mean, that's the coolest concept you can do, right? Is scary,
Right.
eerie, and creepy, and but at the same time, you got to kind of stay true to the story, but where you just like, oh my god, this is going to be great. Like,
Yeah, no, I got the album last summer. So yeah, man, I got to really absorb the whole thing before I started working on it, and I was just blown away by it. So I was so stoked that it wasn't a concept album, but it was all linked together. So whenever they do the tour, man, it's going to be so awesome to see all this stuff play out and sing together. It all ties in together visually.
nice.
So how early in this process do you get a set list?
So I got the set list, and I started probably in the beginning of the summer on it. Um, so I had all like the bonus tracks and everything that they would add to it. So I knew Best of Times was coming. I didn't start on it until January, but yeah, no, I was juggling this and the live stuff and the record animations at the same time. So all my other projects had to go on the side, So it was a shit ton of work. But I had some help. I got a few guys that I really trust who came in and helped me, tackle some of the work. My buddy Dave, who lives down in Chile, amazing motion graphics guy who, he's my kind of my right hand man with the stuff. So he helped me with a few of the visuals to make sure. I mean, the deadline was so tight on this stuff. I literally had the day before the tour started to finish it all up. So
Really?
If you add up, if you add up the hours, let's just say for one song during a concert, what are you talking? 200 hours to get that for 4 minutes, or is that or even more?
I would say that it probably takes for each one of the visuals. I probably spent a week on.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's
no sleep.
That's pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pushing it. So
Okay.
the tour probably took about 3 months,
Wow.
3 to 4 months.
So were there songs that they gave you that they ended up not playing in the show? Like, how much stuff did they give you? Like, or is it just that they knew they're going to play every single thing they gave you?
Yeah, it was every single thing they gave me, they played.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I don't want to just like harp on Best of Times, but I kind of feel like that's, like, honestly, I want you to promote yourself because you are so behind the scenes, and you and I kind of tag each other in comments here and there online. Because obviously you do nothing but use AI. And so
yeah,
yeah,
totally. The whole thing is AI.
That's not even you, is it, Wayne?
Yeah.
No.
Who is that?
This is AI. Yeah. But by the way, for anybody listening to the audio replay of this and everybody online right now, Wayne and I joke about this because that Dream Theater fan page, just everything's AI to them, and they just have no idea. So yeah, so that was a joke between us. Wayne does not use AI. Wayne is completely fucking from the heart. So yeah, so I mean, I don't want to dwell on Best of Times, but it's like, I mean, I kind of want to give the floor to you because this tour we've seen, again, as much as that Dream Theater fan page can be kind of goofy.
Right.
You have just gotten people just saying this is the best looking show from them I've ever seen. Like, it just gets better. People who do know that you do it say it gets better and better. So like what is it for you now that you're actually kind of known in this community? Like, is there kind of that desire to be like, all right, well, now I kind of got to up my game because people now know who the hell I am, kind of thing? Like, or is it just fuck it, I'm gonna do something cool?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. There's some pressure to it. I know Dream Theater fans can be a little opinionated, to say the least. So yeah, I mean that's the only being
just a little bit.
But yeah, no, it gets in my head sometimes. When I'm working on stuff and like the AI stuff. It's when I'm doing, I'm like, man, are they gonna rip this apart or how's this gonna go over? So I'm second guessing everything I'm doing.
Right.
But it's really about how it for me it's not how it looks per se, it's how it makes you feel after you watch it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's So like when snares hit, or when James comes in, or certain parts, I need to bring it on some of those,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when there's 10,000 people out in the crowd, like with Best of Times, I want to have a whole freaking crowd. So I have to hit those moments. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm aiming for. Not necessarily the razzle dazzle of the whole thing, which I try to do too, but I'm really trying to go for the emotion.
So I
Yeah.
have a question. So specifically, Best of Times, was that something where Mike came to you and said, "Look, I'm so close to this thing, like I don't know that I necessarily want to be in it, but here's what I have. If you want to use it, use it." Because that has to be like just an emotionally grueling thing. I mean, and like not to be evil, but was your goal to like, okay, if I can literally get this guy kind of like crying at the end, then I sort of did my job, right? Because it's such an emotional, powerful thing. It always kind of, when I started thinking about that after we left, I'm like, man, did Mike, and knowing you kind of how we do, did Mike come to you and say, hey, just do this? I don't think I can just be in there and say do this, this, and this. That doesn't make sense to how I want to portray this, or how the song goes, or how was that process specifically?
Well, I had a few photos to use. It's the photos that he used in art layout from Black Clouds. But it really was because the lyrics of that song are so image driven,
Yep.
So there's a lot of imagery that kind of helped me bring this up a lot, like West Coast dreams, stickball.
Yep.
So I was able to, that helped guide me along the process of bringing it to life. So it was a little easier to do that than other songs where the lyrics don't really have any imagery to it. I can just go abstract with it. But Best of Times is really, I had to be spot on with, what lyrics are being
Did
sung.
he? How did he react? Like the first time he saw it, did he kind of lose it, or without giving too much insider info? I mean, I just know when the song was over. I mean, we all saw it as like,
Right.
I don't even know how you get through playing something like that when you're
No,
you're surrounded by
crying all
your
the time.
dad, right?
Yeah, I know. I put a lot of my own emotions into it while I was working on it. I'm a
Okay.
dad, and
Sure.
my kid's growing up too fast on me,
Yep.
and I actually finished it on his birthday, and all that just
Oh wow.
came out of me too. So I put a lot of my feelings and heart and emotions into it. So it's kind of my own signature on it. So I'm not literally crying for the whole 2 weeks of work, 3 weeks of
Right.
work. And it was like back and forth with me and Mike, and it was such a wonderful experience. I so honored that I got to work on that. It's
Sure.
such an amazing thing.
How much back and forth did you have with Mike on that? Like, was it just he just said make me a video and send it to me, and like was it?
No, he put his trust in me. He's just do your thing. And I did a 13-minute long video, and
Yeah.
I sent some samples first just to show them the track I was on. But I put my heart into 13 minutes of that and sent it over, and I mean it was almost one and done, just a few tweaks. Awesome.
So this is going to
Really?
sound dumb, but has there ever been a time where you, and maybe it doesn't even have to be Dream Theater, where you sent something and they're like, I don't know what you like, you know what I mean? Like we're just not on, like, not that this sucks, but we're not on the same page here. Do you ever
Yeah.
happens a lot, I guess, huh?
Sometimes, yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate where bands. I'm at a point in my career now where bands they just turn me loose.
Yeah. Okay.
They just completely trust what I do.
Right.
And I don't like sending samples of work as I go along, because for me it kind of kills the vibe of it.
Right.
I want my clients to have the same feeling watching it that the audience does. I want them to see it intact, almost a final draft, one and done.
Right.
I want them to experience what the viewers are.
Right.
So I usually don't listen to samples unless they get pushy about
Well,
it.
that makes sense too, because it's like, okay, well, you did this for band, whatever, and it's like, well, show me these other bands. It's like, well, no, this is your band, right? I want to show you what I can do for you. So yeah, that completely makes sense.
Yeah, and the guys in DT I mean, we're at a point now where I kind of feel like they trust me enough to, I'm going to deliver what they.
That's awesome.
So we got a couple comments here I want to bring up here for you, man. Doug McCauley, great to see you, by the way, brother. Says, if anyone wasn't crying at the end of that, they thought they were going to get something else that night. RN3037, thanks for tuning in. He says, Wayne, the man, what's up, brother? The best of times was so powerful. I saw Mike Portnoy crying the whole song. I loved how JP stood next to MP during the solo, just like during The Spirit Carries On. Yeah, dude, and that's, dude, I think that's what has been, the common, reaction to this whole thing was, I think it's not only that they played the song, but there's been such an incredible reaction to the video that you did with it too. And I think, not to fanboy out on you, like when we're friends behind the scenes and stuff, but like, dude, I mean, I think that speaks volumes to what you do because, at a show, the visuals are there to enhance what the band's doing, but the focus is the band. But if you can really do something to where everyone's like, the song's amazing, but also, holy shit, that video. I mean, dude, I really think you landed on something special. So I have to give you all the props in the world, man. My brother's a graphic arts web designer. Like, I was an artist back in high school and college and shit. Like, and I know what it takes to actually put some emotion into that sort of, thing. And so, dude, all props, man, because that everyone's just reacted so incredibly well to that. I mean, was there any, like, were you nervous at all about how people would react to it? Or do you just kind of be like, were you just like, look, I'm doing this for Mike, and you said you had your own kind of personal feelings in it. I'm doing this for me. Fuck it. I'm doing what feels right. Like, was it just raw emotion?
Just raw emotion, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, when I was done with it and I watched it and I cried my eyes out, even though I watched it 1,000 times before.
Right.
I was like, this is gonna be something. It's something special.
Now, are you there when they're doing like rehearsals and they're doing like, I don't know, I'll just say video tests behind them? Are you there during that entire process, or
No.
or how does that work? Or do you just kind of give it to them and then their guys sort of take over on how it's portrayed or used throughout the show, I guess, or how they display it and everything?
No, I actually work really closely with their lighting director.
Okay.
So the whole process with all this is I'll do a visual and I'll tell him what colors that the visual's based on,
Okay.
and I'll send the clip over and he'll build the lights and lasers around it. And
Well, that's awesome.
it's such an organic process that I have with these guys. Other shows and tours and concerts that I've worked on kind of feel foreign to me now when I do that, coming from DT stuff, because it's just such an organic vibe that I have with all the guys and the crew and their LD, and it flows so well with the guys, so natural. Other bands, it's not the same.
How many of the shows do you try to catch just to go kind of see your work in action there? Do you usually try to catch 3 or 4, or just?
Yeah, I always go to opening night.
Okay.
They flew me over for the O2 show.
Oh, cool.
Beginning of the Euro
Wow.
tour.
That's awesome.
So yeah, man, it was cool. They treated me like a rock star. It was so awesome.
That's great.
So what you're saying is, for the next tour, if I want to meet you in person, I need to buy tickets to the opening night.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Well, no, actually, what John's saying is there any way to get a +2 on any of those future?
That's
It's all
Brian
about
asking for. Nice. All right, so we do have a question here for you, Wayne. So and we can relate this to Best of Times, but also I think this is for really any of your videos. Our amazing friend Joseph Wren, love you, brother. Great to see you a few weeks ago. He says, any Easter eggs in the visuals, anything we're not supposed to see, but it's there if you look.
Let me think about that. There were none in Best of Time. I kept that. That was all for Mike. There was no Easter eggs in that at all.
Okay.
A few tours ago, it's sneaking photos and stuff. Maybe 1 second of something you're not supposed to see. And yeah,
that could go so many different ways. Something you're not supposed to see.
So yeah, I don't do it so much anymore. On some of the cartoons that I work on, I'll put in some cameos and whatever. So those all
Dude,
sneak in stuff.
I do have a quick question about that, but I that's specifically something I wanted to ask you about. But we do have a quick comment from our good friend Chris Aiken. So Aiken, great to see you, man. He says, I know everyone is here is happy for the DT stuff, but the Creed stuff has to be great as they are so back and commercially viable again. Happy that Wayne is one of the guys that gets the call. So there you go, man.
Thank you, man.
There you go.
Cool gig too. That was great too. I enjoyed working with those guys as well.
All right, so did you get the original animations when you were tasked with Octavarium and Dark Eternal Night, or did you have to recreate them?
So for Dark Eternal Night, for that one, we reused the old cartoon,
Okay.
From 20 years ago that Mika did.
Yeah.
So Mike wanted to use that one. So that was reused. Octavarium, I completely made it from scratch. There was nothing
Nice.
reused.
Okay. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and there's one section in that which is my favorite part of the whole entire show, where it's the part before the Razor's Edge solo, where it's the really trippy card. All that's hand drawn. I hand drew that whole entire. It's all
really.
Wow.
So there's so many Octavarium, man. There's so many different styles of visuals in that 25-minute long song. I still can't believe I did that. But there's 3D animation. There's 2D hand-drawn animation. There's motion graphics. There's real video. It's such a 25 minutes of the kitchen sink. I do the kitchen.
So our very good friend Kale McLeish, great to see you, brother. I will ship you that T-shirt. So this is a kind of a fanboy question, which is completely acceptable here on Talking Into Infinity because we are fanboys. So Wayne, how does it feel to have helmed visuals for two of the biggest reunion tours of 2024-25?
Another daily off. I wake up and I go to work.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. I'm very honored. Last year was kind of a crazy year for me. I had some crazy things happen, so it was pretty awesome, man, that I was able to do the two of the biggest reunion shows here. It's a little unbelievable. I'm super humbled by it. And
so are you, the whole thing about, trying to constantly outdo yourself and whatever, are you one of those guys that like kind of stalks on YouTube to see what people are putting out there? And do you see stuff and you're like, oh my God, now this person's doing this and this is this. And are you inspired when you see, newer things, or just from movies and the technology is through the roof, throw AI out the window, but does all that stuff really just kind of inspire you to just keep sort of moving forward and just stay creative?
Yeah, it does, man. I honestly, I try not to look at other people's stuff, just so it doesn't. What's the word? So it doesn't
bleed over into yours.
Yeah. Just so I keep that noise out of my head. Just so I can keep my own creative ideas flowing and stuff.
Okay.
I do watch a lot of movies. A lot of movies from the 80s and 70s, sci-fi movies inspired.
Nice.
So I'll go back and I'll rewatch Blade Runner for the 50th time.
Oh, nice.
Get influences.
Classic.
So that's like my favorite movie ever. The Thing, Escape from New York. I'll go back.
Yes!
All the Carpenter movies are my influence.
You're talking our language now, man.
I was gonna say I might need to get you on my Star Wars podcast. We talk we talk nerd movies outside of Star Wars.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Roll.
So a few years ago, I worked on the Arion show, the last one he did, Beneath the Waves. So a lot of those visuals were inspired by Carpenter movies.
Oh, that's cool.
There's one section that my buddy Dave and we worked on, a section that he did that were like these giant green tubes of liquid that were on the LED screens. Totally the Liquid Satan from Prince of Darkness. We totally got the vibe from that.
I love that movie.
We have an interesting question from Chris Aiken. He's a master interviewer, so he's helping us out here. If either or both of these tours are released to some sort of visual, which we know the Dream Theater will have a live record from Paris, either streaming or purchasable, does that net you recurring income, or is it a simple purchase transaction with the bands?
So like, do I get royalties from that? Is that
Yes.
no?
Oh, that sucks.
I wish I
Damn
could,
it.
man. Maybe I should put that in my next.
Right.
If you need a new agent,
There we go.
talk to
Chris,
Chris Aiken.
Chris Aiken will hook you up.
And actually, man, you know, I'm actually kind of I don't know if I'm really comfortable with, you know, there's been some talk about it, like, you know, putting the visuals on, you know, like Blu-rays and stuff. Uh, and you know, it's they're made for the live experience, and you know, I like to keep it that way. You know, if people want to see them, they can buy the Blu-ray and watch it. They'll be behind the band. So.
I like that. But if you think like maybe there's a way to, like, what if they released well, because they're not set to clicks, are they? I mean, they would have to be set to clicks for people to actually like listen to the song themselves. Like,
I don't know if I can say, but I don't know, and also, you know, I know there's a lot of Dream Theater fans and stuff out there, and bands, and it would make me a little nervous. I wouldn't want anybody ripping them off and put the visuals behind their band too. So there's no way I can watermark it or anything. But
I was just thinking of kind of like the 3D experience. Like you have the Blu-ray of the video on your screen, and then you're listening to the song in your earbuds and stuff like that. Okay, so, but like I said, like if the videos aren't to a click, then
yeah, no,
So
the live visuals aren't to a click. But to answer that question, you know, all the Parasomnia stuff is on a Blu-ray, and those will be the exact visuals that are used for the next tour. I just need to format them.
Oh wow!
So, but before we get to that, like I do have to ask, like, and I think Best of Times would be an obvious answer. So if that's the obvious answer, let's say beyond that, do you have a favorite animation or video you've done for the guys?
Yeah, I do. I would say for this tour, my favorite one. Let's see. I gotta remember what the set list was.
It was so easy until
I know you can't do it.
Also, while you're thinking, what's one you haven't done and would really like to do? We'll make it twice as hard for you.
Look at this. Using the shit out of the poor guy.
Yeah. You know, I'd like to do some more stuff while falling into infinity. You know, Trial of Tears would be awesome.
Yes. He's speaking my language.
John got mad at me for asking you, and now he's all excited.
Wait, I'd love to do that. I'd love to change the seasons. Yeah, I would love to change the seasons to life visually.
All right, here's what we're gonna do, Wayne. Let's set it to a click. Make a video for Trial of Tears. We'll debut it here on Talking Into Infinity. Let's do it. Let's do it. My favorite Dream Theater song. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Count of Tuscany. That's my favorite one.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that on the last tour.
I know.
Oh,
trust me.
Look at that. He wants to do a video for my favorite song, and he has done a video for your favorite song, Brian.
There you go.
I did my homework.
Nice. So you're lying, is what you're saying.
Yeah. You were already going to be on the show again for the Pantera shit, at least. So you're gonna.
For this tour, I had a lot of fun doing Metropolis 1. You know, that's one that was really fun, and that's the first one that I started on too. So that was a lot of fun bringing that one to life.
So real quick, like, this is maybe a cheesy question. When you first get that call saying, you know, hey, Portnoy's, and you had worked with the band before, but with Mike Portnoy coming back, like he obviously had people that he worked with his other bands. So I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but it maybe was not a sure thing that you were still going to work with Dream Theater. But when you got the call and they were like, hey, we're doing a 40th anniversary tour. Mike Portnoy's back. We want you to be the guy. Can you talk a little bit about like what goes through your head when you're the guy trusted with making this legendary tour look as good as everyone expects it to look?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, I stay in such contact with guys during the tour and off the tour. You know, we swap and text and just being friends outside of work. You know, it was just, you know, we're just keep the wheels rolling on this thing. You know, it's and it's awesome having Mike back. You know, it brings such an organic feeling to the band. And like you said, there's no click. It's just a magic cowbell, and I don't feel the pressure to have to edit to a click. It's all natural. So yeah, no, it's I think this is just a really good thing going, and hopefully it keeps going. But yeah, no, man, it's all good. It's been good the whole time. So
Yeah, I wondered, like, when you finally get that call, like, hey, Portnoy's back, you're the guy, like that would just be like, oh, man.
yeah.
All right, so let's get back to doing a video for Trial of Tears. All right, so here we go. Forget the fucking rest of the interview here.
The bad news is John's more than willing to sit in and help you do it, Wayne. So that probably takes any joy out of you wanting to do it at this point.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. If I ever get the call to do that song, I'll tap you for some ideas. How about
It would just be me going, "That's awesome! Yeah, that's awesome! That's awesome,
It'd be
dude."
great if John gets in there. It's like, Wayne, can you actually fix this over here? This is messed up.
Yeah, I think the
I don't
tear.
know if I've done anything off Falling into Infinity.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't. Maybe Peruvian Skies. I think I did that on way like 2019, but that might be the
Okay.
only one.
Man, Aiken wants us to ask serious questions. He's got another question. With
All
Dream
right.
Theater fans being so granular, where is the line between your confidence in the product and pleasing all the fans and the band?
Well, you know what, man? Some of the best advice that I've ever read, and I really apply this with with working with opinionated fans, is Rick Rubin said the best way to serve the audience is to ignore them. So I kind of take that when I'm working on DT stuff, is I try to apply that. I mean, the pressure, they do get in my head, but I kind of think of that, I just want to make the band happy, and if the band's happy, I'm happy. And if the band's happy, they're going to play happy. So that's kind of what the philosophy I take when I do this. You know, that's my client. The audience isn't my client, you know.
All right, so we've got the Best of Times. We've got the 40th anniversary tour. Next up is Parasomnia. So should we expect anything crazy coming from the Parasomnia tour?
I have no idea yet. I haven't gotten a call yet. So yeah, I'm completely in the dark with that so far. It's
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it yet.
All right. Well, there went that question down the shitter. Yeah, so I guess, let's get back to the fans here, man. So let's see. People want to know about. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that you haven't done anything off of Falling into Infinity besides Peruvian Skies. Like, nothing for Hollow Years, nothing like.
Almost 8 years now. Yeah.
Wow. God damn. All right, well, we'll just get to some fan questions here. Here's a pretty simple one. I know you're a huge fan of the record, but our buddy Ali Studio wants to know, what is your favorite track from Parasomnia?
Been the Clock. That's my favorite.
Yes, that seems to be a super big one.
Yeah, that one, and probably Shadow Man. That was really fun to bring to life.
Oh, see, you just slipped. Bringing to life. See, we caught you. A Talking into Infinity exclusive.
Well, it's already done. It's on the Blu-ray.
Well, true. Damn it! I thought I was breaking news and shit. All right, so you know what? I mean, Wayne, you and I talked about it. Once the tour was announced and the record was released, you and I had messaged back and forth about what you felt about the record, and I know you're a huge fan of the album, but you were also a huge fan of the Mangini stuff. Like, you had said that, A View from the Top of the World was, top 5 record for you, but this one is like way up there for you. So what is it about this record that grabbed you, that, it actually surpassed what you had been, what they'd done before?
I could hear the chemistry in the writing and the music again. it felt like old times. You know, it necessarily wasn't a redo or something, you know, from the past, but it felt like, for me personally, when I heard it the first time, especially like Bend the Clock, you know, this record could have came out in the 90s. You know, it could have been a part of that 90s, early 2000s sound. You know, this, like how Mike said, you know, this is the follow up to Black Cross, and it felt that way. You know, it felt like, you know, this was just there. No time had passed, and it was the whole organic chemistry and on the record. You could sense that all the guys were happy. You know, it sounds happy. Well, the record doesn't sound happy, but
Yeah,
you're like
right.
you could hear the positivity and emotion in the writing for me, and that's why, you know, I love all the this. I think Distance is great, View is great, The Astonishing we won't talk about.
Oh no, let's not go there.
Yeah, I like the self-title. I like the whole Mangini stuff, but this particular record for me just it had the magic. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that comment ties into Chris Aiken's last comment. Then it says,
yeah.
"Had you hated the record, could you do visuals that would change your opinion?"
Yeah, I could. I mean, there's lots of videos that I work on, and for bands that, you know, once I start rolling with it, I'm like, sucks. How am I going to bring this to life? You know,
Yeah.
it happens all the time, man. But you know, I just I absorb the music, and you know, I let it kind of flow through me, and I just make it happen. And I mean, if I hated the record, I'd still try my best to bring it to life.
I Bend the Clock, like, I'm glad you brought that song up, because like that is obviously clearly the fan favorite from this new album. And I got to be honest, like, I love it, but I don't think that I love it as much as everybody else does. Like, I think it's the standout song on this record. I think for me, like, Dead Asleep is kind of the one that I kind of think about a bunch. But yeah, like I mean, Brian, you've mentioned Bend the Clock ad nauseum. Like, Wayne, you just mentioned that's your thing. Like what is it about that song? Because I feel like that is going to be the next, like, big, hey, it's going to be in every Dream Theater set list kind of song. Like, what do you guys think makes this song so special?
I think James sounds absolutely fantastic on it. I think his vocal performance on that song is what makes it for me. The first time I listened to it and I was working on it, I mean, it's fucking incredible. You know, he is the star of the show on that song, and tie in with Petrucci's solo at the end. It was just magical.
Yeah, that solo and just the way he approaches that, what would seem kind of like a standard kind of a chord change, and Petrucci just has this way of I don't know, really orchestrating something and just twisting it around to where, yeah, anyone can play it like this, but if I play it like this and I turn around a little bit like this, and you know, when you get sort of that, it's kind of a there's still a little bit of meat to the guitar there, but it's sort of like almost an acoustic electric thing, but it's full electric. But I don't know. I get it, similar vibe as I get the beginning of Count of Tuscany when he does those with that little solo to start the whole song. I feel that same sensation on those chord progressions of the early part of Bend the Clock. That's the only way I can explain it.
So for me, it feels like Count of Tuscany and At Wit's End.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
it almost feels like the same song structure as At Wit's End.
Yep.
The solo in that song for me has the same kind of feeling that Bend the Clock has.
Yep.
And that's how I felt when I first heard At Wit's End for the first time. And that's actually the first song the guys ever sent me to work on.
Wow.
Really?
So,
I love
yeah.
that song. That's a fan favorite here.
Yeah, I got to hear that a whole year before it came out. I was like, wow, am I supposed to be listening to this?
Oh wow.
That whole record just so, don't get me started on Distance Over Time. That record is so goddamn underrated. It's my only complaint, as I've said many times on the show, is that for some reason, like, it's the volume, if you pull it up on your stereo, is a lot lower than every one of the other records. I don't know why, but holy shit, that album is good. Oh my god, such a banger, dude. Yeah, I don't know. With Bend the Clock, for me, like, I love it. Believe me, I love it. but everyone is like just going nuts about it. I'm like, I think there's like that 10% that I'm missing somewhere. I'm like trying to figure out why. Why am I the one guy that's like, that can't get on board, man?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would release that as a single, because the visual I did for the record is so cool. So I was kind of hoping they would release it, but maybe they will later down the road.
I was gonna say
to-
they probably aren't totally done, are they? I mean, sometimes these bands now will wait 6 months after it's out and do another one. I'm just curious.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
Hope so.
that'd be awesome.
Well, dude, it was amazing to have you on.
Yeah, man.
I got to go back to the Best of Times one more time. We've got a ton of people tuning in to hear about that. So just any final thoughts on Best of Times? Take as much time as you want. Like, that was Dream Theater history. It was something that may never be done again. It literally may be a one-time thing, and everybody across the world is loving it. The people that were there, like Brian and I, were just like, holy shit. So you are the guy that brought that song to life. So the floor is yours, man. Just if you want to tell stories, if you want to like talk about it at all, just say thank you. Like, floor is yours, man. Like talk about the Best of Times a little bit.
Appreciate that. So yeah, man, it's that song. I guess I really never. I mean, I listened to it, but I really never got into it before I started working on this, and I started working on it, and it's just, I was like, man, this is just the lyrics are so real. Out of all the Dream Theater songs, just the lyrics are so real on this one. And, I mean, it's just just such an honor to be a part of that. It's such a surreal feeling, I guess. And, I mean, like, you grew up listening to these guys, and, I've been a Dream Theater fan since I was, 10th grade back in the 90s. So yeah, man, it's just, I just can't wrap my head around that I actually get to do this stuff for these guys. I'm a fan too, and these are all these visuals and Best of Time. It's just really a souped up fan made video. I'm just a lucky person that gets to do this. So yeah, man, it's just putting my whole heart and emotions, and kind of crying along with Mike working on this, and hopefully the fans felt that this was just raw emotion that went into it, and uh, haters will say it's AI. That's okay. But, it's real. It's real stuff. It's raw emotion, and that's probably what made it so special. It could have been, you know, anything, but it was just a really amazing moment to be able to bring that to life. If they never play it again, that makes it even more special.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's, dude. No. I don't know how to follow that up.
I'd more of a, I guess, a business industry type question. Well, not, it's more related to you. So,
all right. Brian knows how to follow it up.
Yeah. Well, no, it's more like, so wait, do you sit around and, like, I don't, not saying sit around, are there videos or visuals that you just kind of make for fun on your own, or like, I've always wanted to do something with this, and is there like a vault somewhere, like, the Eddie Van Halen famous vault is there like a vault of like stuff you've done that you just do for fun because you enjoy it, that's not involved in the business aspect at all? Is there?
Yeah, there is. I have a library of stuff, that gets rejected from other bands.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, so they didn't like this. Maybe I can use this for another band.
Okay.
It's the greatest thing ever. So yeah, I have a whole hard drive of rejects.
Okay.
Besides,
interesting.
You can use it as an intro video for Talking Into Infinity.
yeah, man, yeah, dude. So yeah, man, and I guess it's not off topic, but the set 2 intro that I did for the tour.
I love that. I meant to bring that up, dude. That is so cool. So
Thank you.
cool.
I appreciate that. So with that, man, I worked in tandem with this amazing composer, Joseph Stevenson, on it. He just totally knocked it out. So yeah, man, for doing that, I also had the same feeling that I had with Best of Times. It was, how do I, give the whole entire audience goosebumps? during an intermission. so, so yeah, that actually was the hardest thing to create for them. It was like, how do I bring 40 years of this band to life in 4 minutes and totally hit it on, bring it, just make it crazy. So yeah, man, hopefully we can, after the tour is over and we can get it released and people can see it proper, who haven't been to the show can see it, and not just on YouTube, because it's not the same effect. You got to see so much detail put into
Oh
that.
yeah.
I created this giant time machine that went around with all the album covers, and I made all the album covers move too. Like I had the little girl's head turning from images, the guys with binoculars, the guy with the unicycle falling off.
Oh yeah. I was curious about the audio on that. So there was one guy that did basically he composed and did the whole score for that and recorded it then?
Yep, did the whole entire thing.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, and I would like to try to do a behind the scenes, like a making of doing that.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's something that I can show the fans.
Well, if you need a platform to show the fans, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I know
a
place where you can bring it. Like
we could probably promote it just a little bit on here.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We can turn this into the Wayne Joyner show if you want. That's So there we go. But
you might lose all your viewers then. Huh?
I don't know. We've got the most viewers we've had in a while, man. Just announcing that you and John were going to be on. So yeah, I think we're doing okay thanks to you. So, well, anyways, man, I know you got places to go, things to do. So, not this late at night, but you know what I'm saying. So, dude, thank you so very much for coming on again. It was awesome to talk to you. Again, like, Brian and I were at Radio City, and the show itself was just amazing, but best of times. I mean, it was not only incredible to me because it was so well put together, the video you did, but it actually, people, if they were ever going to see that show or that song live, they had these expectations in their head. It exceeded those expectations. So you really did a fantastic fucking job, man. I know I've told you that, offline and everything, but just, got to tell you again, awesome job, dude. And thanks for all the great graphics. And we'll see what you have in store for us on Parasomnia on the next tour, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Made my day.
All right, man. No, all right, man. We'll keep in touch, and we'll see you soon, man. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
All right, so there he goes. Wayne Joyner, the man, the myth, the legend. Dude, he's so humble. Like,
I just want to be a fly on the wall when he's just starts the whole thing. I just want to see it, But I mean, like you said, do a making of, man, a documentary on it. That would be mind blowing to see that process.
Like, as I sneezed twice on camera, like what's the genesis of these things? Like,
I don't even know.
It's like the phone rings. Hey, I'm Dream Theater. Make us some videos. Okay. Like, where do you start?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, it's, man, I would just love to pick his brain on that. And, he definitely wanted to talk about Best of Times and stuff tonight. And I tried to go there with that first question, like, how does it start kind of thing. But, man, talk about a couple of great guests, man. That was a massive shot of some 40th anniversary Dream Theater shit right there, man.
Yeah, Wayne's always. I mean, the very first time you saw his name on something, and then did you like reach out to him first, or did he reach out to you? I can't remember.
I actually asked him. I said, because once the tour was over, I said, hey, he and I were talking, and he had mentioned, like, at least I can finally, he said kind of like I can talk about this stuff now, like. And so I said, what are you able to come on the show and talk about it? He says, yeah, I'll come on the show. So,
oh no, I meant like when we first got him, like we were nobodies, and you like when we first got him on the show, I was like, wait, how the hell is this guy going to come on our show?
Well, but by the way, okay, hold on one second. Ted Clayton says, at Talking Into Infinity, anything wrong with my comments? Dude, we're in the middle of a couple of interviews. We will always bring up the comments when we can. So don't be offended. We bring up what we can when we can. So
yes, no. We love you, Ted Clayton. He's a new guy. I don't have seen that name before. Is this the first?
Thanks for tuning in. Doug McCauley says, kicking ass this episode with the guests in the spirit. Kudos to you too. Kudos to you, man, Doug. Good to see you, dude. Chris Aiken says, humble is why he is successful. And wait a minute. Oh yeah,
there. I'm talking about the other one.
Yeah. Aiken says, we're nobodies, Brian. There we go. Doug says, the after show energy you have tonight is evident. Yeah, we're a little pumped up, Doug. That was, and Doug, like I got to give Brian a ton of credit again. Like it wasn't just the show. Like,
well, I'll take some credit. Go ahead, John.
All right. So I got to give Brian some credit here. As I remove it. I got to give Brian some credit here because like the trip itself was awesome. Like that would have been a great trip to New York for us, even without the show. Like Brian, like I had set up, I said I wanted to go to Little Italy. I wanted to go to the 9/11 memorial. And after that, I said, Brian, whatever you want to do, like I'm fine with whatever. And he found some really great shit to do. And so, we toured the USS Intrepid. Like we found a bunch of mom and pop shops and stuff like that. Like it was a really, really fun time just hanging out. And then the Dream Theater show, like first, again, like we said earlier in the show, the hangout at the Elgin was amazing before the show. And then the concert itself, again, like guys, I mean, it's really hard to quantify how great that concert was because, people have said like the band was kind of on this night. They were kind of off this night, whatever, you could tell the energy was up and down at different shows. This one, as I said, to start the whole show, it really felt like 15, 20 years ago. There was just an energy and a vibe between them that you don't generally see. It was clear they were, just thrilled to be there. Probably, beyond being honest, Brian, I mean, thrilled to be at the end of a tour, to get their asses home. There was just like they were interacting with each other a little differently than they normally do. Like, they were quite happy to be with each other and on the stage and in front of that crowd in that venue. It was just an awesome fucking, atmosphere around the whole thing.
There were times, and can't remember if we've talked endlessly about whatever. So I don't know if you and I talked about this, and I've told multiple people. So we're roughly 15, 12 feet from the stage, not too far, right?
Yeah.
And there's times when I don't know if I was more in awe of watching the band or turning around and seeing 6,000 people and basically nobody sitting down.
Yep.
And singing along and air drumming and air guitaring and chanting and banging their head or borderline sometimes, I don't know, I would say dancing, but, just grooving. I mean, that has probably equal parts to do with that venue itself. It is kind of, what we call sacred hollow ground, but
yeah,
but that's sort of their hometown. That's their stomping ground. That's probably their lifelong goal being from around that area was, God, we'd love to headline here. And I don't know, man, like I said, the power of the band, but the power of that crowd, you just turned around and he had everybody hold their cell. Was it Hollow Years? Everyone had the, like the 80s lighter, they held them up on that. And that's, a lot of bands do that, but there was something different about this one. It was just, you just turn around and you're like, oh my God. And
yeah.
It was just powerful, man. It was emotional.
And even us, dude, like we had aisle seats, except we were seats 2 and 3 because there's one guy who came by himself and he was sitting to our right. So he was actually the aisle seat. So he was seat 1, then I was seat 2, you were seat 3. And it was just like that guy came by himself. I bullshitted with him just a little bit. He was from Nebraska. Like from fucking Nebraska.
Yeah.
He buys himself a solo ticket to Radio City Music Hall and shit. And, I was, sitting there singing and doing my thing. And, you were, kind of, doing your things, kind of absorbing the show. And like, I bumped the guy next to me a couple times when I was air guitaring or something. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, dude, I don't care. Like it was it was just such a great thing. Like I hugged him twice during the show, and then afterwards I was like, what a great gig. And dude, like you're exactly right. Like the energy in that room was just absolutely untouchable. And John Raaness from DT Norway, again, thank you very much for coming on again, bro. He had talked about being there with Score and everything, and obviously go ahead and take a drink, guys. I was at Score. I don't know if it's because I was closer to the stage this time, or if it's maybe like Dream Theater's much closer to the end of their career than they were back then. But John had mentioned it was like, kind of, the same vibe as Score and everything. And I have seen other people say, well, it wasn't quite as, energetic as Score, but it was close. I actually think that this show had more energy and feel to it, at least for me personally, than Score did. There was just something there that was more emotional.
Well, it's the return of the can't say prodigal son, but it's the return of really the nucleus and the leader of this band. I mean, every band needs a leader, even as much of a democracy as Dream Theater is. Mike Portnoy is the heart and soul and the leader of Dream Theater. He always has been. He always will be. And when he steps back in, it's like when LeBron James came back to the Cavaliers. I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same analogy. You know what I mean?
I'm getting blasted in the chat for the Score reference. You know what's awesome, guys, is that I actually had one guy. I wish I could remember his name. We met him at the Elgin for the pre-show, and I mentioned Score. He goes, drink, and the guy actually took a big slug, and I had a beer. Man, I'm like, shit, this guy knows the show way too well. So that is yeah. So Zauber 96, great to see you, man. He says, I had a similar feeling at the concert in Munich. It felt like watching the band in 2001, although I don't know what I'm talking about because I wasn't born in 2001. No, Zauber, like, you're not wrong, dude. That is 100% how it felt. It was like. So,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna. Did you remember me telling you I met that guy at the Elgin that literally crapped all over like the last 3-4 albums?
No.
So he was there, and he's like, I just figure I got to go because Portnoy's back. I don't like the last album. I don't even know about the new album. I didn't like the last few, and but I was able to find a ticket, for $100 or something. So this guy was like, I don't even know how you describe this, what the word is for this scenario, but he was like, he thought he still had, he knew he had to see this show. Let's put it that, you know what I mean? Like, he was like, as disappointed as I am with the band lately, and I don't think they come with new ideas, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and argue with the guy, Because right. He came to the fan hangout. Well, not the fan hangout, but he came to the fan club hangout. Yeah. And he bought a ticket to go to the show, even despite all this negative stuff he has going. So he realized, like, I probably better see this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird concept, but it shows, again, the enormity of the occasion.
Yeah, it was, the whole thing just had this, like, and I wonder if you can actually answer this. Like, I wonder if every show on the tour had this celebratory feel to it. You went to the show here in Cleveland. I did not, because I wanted Radio City to be my one and only experience on the tour. Like, was there that vibe with the crowd there that was like, holy shit, like he's back? Like, is this like
the crowd was really, really into it, but as you know, the sound in that venue is fine, but they throw folding chairs on the concrete floor of a shed. It's not Radio City Music Hall in any sense of the word, and no, not many places are, right? But yeah, I mean I think the fans were just as into it, but we also had that incident where the fire alarm went off, the power went out, so from the get go that show was. But the fans were definitely into it, but this is just a whole new level. I mean, so like we were talking to people, all right, because we know nothing about geography, but New York, everyone, you can come from New Jersey, you can come from Connecticut. They're coming from all these different states. They're coming from New York, and like you said, somebody even drove from Nebraska, and that's probably more just because of being Radio City. But Cleveland's like, okay, it's just going to be people around Cleveland. Maybe some people came up from Akron, Columbus, whatever. And yeah, it's just not the same. I think the crowd probably appreciated it as much, but the vibe is just, there's not going to be a vibe that, and I don't even care about that opening show they did. Maybe that was, the
You
very
better
first
care
thing.
about that. I mean, it's the very first show with Portnoy in 13 years.
Well, I mean,
or 14, excuse me.
but you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean, yeah, that's cool, but when you bring it all back home, like this in this venue and people coming from all over for this, I don't know. I think it's just it's just the perfect way to wrap up the 40th thing. I mean, how else could you possibly make it better, look better, sound better, the crowd more into it? I don't know what you could possibly do to top that.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, I mean, I don't think I even asked you this, and we'll get out of here in a minute. But like, have you ever been like to a concert for any band that you're into that was kind of like a legendary show in their history? Like, is this the first time you've been to one of those shows where it's like this is kind of like in the history of the band, they're going to talk about this one over and over again?
Well, it might sound dumb, but like when I literally saw the Images and Words tour at Flash Gordon's, like, okay, I saw the beginning of what this turned into.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So what did that feel like to you then? Like knowing that you saw them on like basically their first world tour, and now you're there 40 years later at Radio City Music Hall.
First of all, it made me feel old as shit. And it just, I mean, and I'm not even joking. I mean, like how it's just gone. Time it just goes so friggin' fast. This whole thing.
Well, instead of the negativity, how about talk about like how it made you feel about
no,
that
wasn't that
Good
was just
Lord, you nihilistic asshole.
No, that was literally the perspective I had. It's like I can't believe this happened this fast, and that they had that many albums, and put out, and the content they put out in that time. But on reflecting to that band that I did see at Flashes, it makes sense because I saw and heard, and they sounded exactly like the record when they did that, basically the entire Images and Words album in that place that holds 600 people. I don't know. Everyone's standing in front of the stage. There's no seats. I mean, it was a similar feeling. Everyone's standing. Pretty much everyone was singing along to every song because they just got the CD maybe in the last 2 weeks, but it spoke to them and they were like, wow, we got to go see this, and Pull Me Under had just broken. And yeah, I mean, honestly, as far as full blown concerts, I mean, I don't know. You've been to a few Van Halen shows, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
That's got to be incredible though, because like you said, you saw them on Images and Words, and if it was at Flashes, it was probably before or during the time that Pull Me Under was blowing up.
Yeah, it had just kind of got released as a single.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like all of a sudden they're like bigger and bigger venues like they were doing on that tour. Dude, to see it, this is like, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. It has to be incredible for you to see this. Like, it's almost like a career resurgence for them, even if it's just for a minute or an album or whatever. Right now, 40 years into it, like it has to be incredible for you to see like the genesis of it with Pull Me Under and Images and Words to where we're at now, where Portnoy's back and with the Mangini stuff. They were saying, yeah, we're you don't know how long they're going to go. It was always kind of understood that Portnoy would come back, but is it going to happen? Is it not? Well, now he's back, and all of a sudden it kind of feels like a kick in the ass. Like maybe they do have, 3-4 more records in them. Like it's got to be incredible to kind of think about it in those terms. Like I know we joke around, just a minute ago we joked around, but you're like, oh, I feel my age and stuff like that. But it's got to be kind of kick ass to like be a fan of a band and see this kind of growth and rebirth, I would say, of what they're doing.
Well, in a band that, I mean, no one cares about actual radio now, but back then they did, and that they couldn't get arrested on radio other than Pull Me Under, on MMS or something at a certain time of day, maybe. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just,
yeah.
I mean, to me, you always compare them to Rush, and I think it's a perfect comparison. There's no, Rush did get they sort of got the benefit of radio play and MTV though, especially towards the middle part of the 80s and career and whatever.
Yeah.
And like 70s, FM rock, but Dream Theater never had that, and they persevered, and ton of touring, ton of great albums, and there's no egos in that band. I mean, Portnoy maybe a little bit of one, but there's no egos when it comes to the music. Let's put it that way. When it comes to what's best for this band to put on a record and to put on a live show, there is no ego. It's, hey, let's make the song sound the best. Let's make the performance the best. Like we said, Portnoy is probably more of a leader, but you have to have somebody who eventually sort of just drives the thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's just sort of the key to it. They're all friends. None of them got sucked into the drug thing or the groupie thing or everything was always about the music, always, and that's how Rush was.
I think that goes a long way, man. Like, not to, bring it back to something personal here, but I mean, the reason that I've been playing in a band where I have a one-way drive of at least 2 hours, I've been doing it for 11 years, is because the guys are my friends. And like you said, there's no egos. It's just about playing music and just having a good fucking time. And I think the show at Radio City, like, kind of shows you exactly what the band is about. Like, it just exactly like it was way back in the day, man. Four friends back, well, three at this point, 3 friends from Berkeley, and just wanted to rock and kick ass, man, and do some progressive metal. And just what a great trip, man. And again, I have to give you all the credit in the world, because you scheduled like over half our trip, and it was just so much fun. And we got stories we can tell about the trip. We'll tell those at some point, but for now, I would say, this is what a great episode after having a month off and, going to Radio City in New York City, man, what a blast to have John on from Dream Theater, Norway, Wayne Joyner, obviously, always awesome to talk to him, and great to get his insight on that incredible Best of Times video. So, yeah, man, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, we've been around now for what, going over 4, almost, are we at 4 years of Dream Theater's 40? We've been
yeah, 10% of their career.
Yeah, 10% of their career, man. We've been around, so that's not bad. We'll see how much longer we last,
Yep. Yeah, it's been a blast, man.
I mean, I think we've officially, without saying it, I mean, is there a scenario where they don't end with the Parasomnia tour there? And I mean, I don't know how we can't not go after. I think it's going to have to be a must. We're going to have to go again.
Oh, we're definitely going.
Oh, and darn.
Well, and we have to go to the opening night, because we got to hook up with Wayne. At some point, we got to hook up with Wayne in person, dude. Like,
do we really want to do that to him?
Hell yeah.
He seems like a nice guy.
Well, I'm fine meeting up with him, but you're kind of a dick in person. That's what I heard. Let's close the show on this positivity. I heard from several people that night that it's clear who the cool guy is on the podcast. At the Elgin.
It's not you.
Like, no, they were like, that Brian's kind of a dick.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, they said you told him to fuck off and get away from you and stuff. Like, I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, I had to get security a few times over there. Hey, look, after the second autograph, and there was about an hour later, someone wanted me to sign a third. I said no. So
if I signed an autograph, that night had been my first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goro Romero, thank you so much for tuning in, man. He says, and you guys got at least one fan from Chile. Dude, thank you so much for tuning into this, man. That's amazing. Holy shit, look at this. Before we go, it's our boy, Sarcasmo Asholio. What's up, fam? What's up, Sarcasmo? Oh, my God. Always good to see you, like 30 seconds before we tune off for the night. So, all right, man. Well, we're going to be right back here in 2 weeks. It'll be Thursday, April 17th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be a non-Dream Theater centric show. We're actually bringing our very good friend Steven Rosen back on the show. Guitar writer, author of the amazing Eddie Van Halen book that we talked about before, Tone Chaser. He's going to be coming on talking about the audiobook version of Tone Chaser. And he's going to be giving us all the details, the behind the scenes of how that audio version has all of his audio of the interviews in that book. So it's definitely something you guys want to pick up. He's going to talk about it. And we're just going to talk some Van Halen, which is something I'm always into. But it's always great to have one of the greatest guitar writers on the planet here on the show. So that will be again in 2 weeks on Thursday, April 17th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To all of you guys who tuned in, man, there are so many of you in the chat. All you guys, you know who you are. We love and appreciate you guys. It was awesome to meet so many of you in person at the Elgin in New York. And man, guys, if you haven't already, please click that like button, click that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell so that you're notified every time we go live. And download the show, share the show, tell all of your Dream Theater friends. We would love to get some more eyes on this thing. And man, what a blast, Brian. These last couple weeks have been just a giant shot in the arm. We didn't even need a shot in the arm, but we got a shot in the arm in terms of our Dream Theater fandom. And, you know, man, just so much love to all you guys for hanging out with us and supporting the show. So any final thoughts, Brian, before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm chill out for a bit, and as soon as we start hearing about this new tour, I'm back in again. So I said before, after I really kind of got into this album, hoping they did the thing in its entirety, and it's coming. So we're gonna be there.
Well, if we can make it happen, let's do opening night, man. Let's make a pact. Road trip number 2.
All right. Well, we got to see where it goes, but for sure, another New York if we can.
Let's go. All right. Well, guys, much appreciated. Until next time, I am your host, John. He is Brian, and thank you so very much. And as always, y'all, Carpe Diem.